Welcome y bienvenidos to Presently Aquí, a podcast created just for you, a place to find tools, insights, and gentle guidance to nurture your self-love journey. Together we'll connect with extraordinary healers from around the world, uncovering the wisdom and unique gifts they share to help us lead healthier, more loving lives beginning with ourselves. And today I have Joanna. Welcome, Joanna. Oh my God, so great having you. And Joanna is a certified hypnotherapist and a spiritual medium. And her work bridges gap between science and spirituality, psychology and energy healing, the conscious and the subconscious. Through hypnotherapy, I don't even know where that came from. Through hypnotherapy, she helps reprogram deep-rooted beliefs, heal emotional wounds, and step into your power by accessing 95% of the mind that runs our daily lives, the subconscious. That's true. As a medium, she helps people connect to their higher selves, their spirit guides, and even ancestral wisdom to gain clarity and healing. Hey. She does more than that, I'll tell you all. She is amazing. But before we get into this conversation, because we do get carried away, Joanna's going to lead us into a very brief meditation. Hmm. Thank you, beautiful. It's always like a warm hug. Yeah, I love introducing the podcast that way so people can see how simple it is. It's just 1 or 2 minutes. We don't need a whole lot just to be here now. Right? It's just the mind that complicates it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Exactly. Exactly. So, yes, the importance of all that, guys. So, if you were driving, hopefully you didn't do that, but do it later. Don't be like, yeah, yeah, no, do it. Just so you get accustomed, right, for something you've never tried before. Just to give yourself, right? Of all healers, right? We all know, we all say the same thing. It just takes 1 minute just to be here, ground yourself, be here now. And then eventually we hope that you make it a practice and expand it to 5 minutes, to 10, right? And then you'll start to see why we've been saying it. But so beautiful, Joanna. Her and I have been chatting away, I think, for lifetimes, honestly. First time we spoke, we were on the phone for like almost 3 hours, I think.
Stop.
We didn't. We just had to. We're like, oh no, your phone was dying. I think it was the
Oh,
battery. Was
yeah, the computer died.
We're like, we gotta go. But that's just so beautiful. I love that because when that happens for everyone out there, when you meet someone like that, it's your soul remembering each other. You've known each other before. It's just like, oh my God. It's like two kids. That one went away for school and came back like, hey, right? That's exactly how it felt like connecting with you. Oh my gosh. So we're going to get into what Joanna does, and that's hypnotherapy, which is, when you're a hypnotherapist, I feel most hypnotherapists, I think you're my third or fourth on the podcast. All of you are mediums and psychics. I mean, I think it goes hand in hand in order for you to be a hypnotherapist. Would you say that's more of a likeliness that is a thing?
This is what I've realized because I had hypnotherapy sessions done on me as well, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there's a difference between a standard hypnotherapist and a spiritual hypnotherapist, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you how that really works. What I've realized is when you're a hypnotherapist, I've gone to both. Okay, so a standard hypnotherapist just kind of do the procedures. There's
Mm-hmm.
no spiritual anything at all. It's very cut and dry. You go to the
Right.
events, you're done, you're finished.
Mm-hmm.
See, but as a spiritual hypnotherapist, we dive into the energetics and we tune into the frequencies of the individual, of the space, and kind of feel our way through. Because when you're a hypnotherapist, each case is different. Every
Right.
single soul has their
Mm-hmm.
own journey, right? So
Yes.
when we maneuver through their journey, you kind of have to go about with what you feel is right to do and maneuver.
Right.
And the way that I maneuver is I do it in a gentle process because when we go to impactful moments,
Mm-hmm.
it's like a motherly,
Mm-hmm.
nurturing, element that I really implement in my hypnotherapy
Right.
because it's gentle guidance. It's
Mm-hmm.
nothing that should be like holding your hand through it.
Right.
If I feel it's too much for anybody,
Right.
then I would remove them from that space or that
Mm-hmm.
event,
Right.
you know, and go elsewhere. So yeah,
Right.
there's a difference actually.
Yeah, I love that.
But when you were saying, are they psychic? I think just spiritual hypnotherapists are more in tune,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Yes, truly. And I'm going to keep this very basic for anyone who's listening to this podcast for the first time. Do you mind explaining what is hypnotherapy and why is it important as a healing tool?
So hypnotherapy is going to be, as it was for thousands of years, the biggest modality for healing. And I'll tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, it's non-invasive. There's no
Mm-hmm.
pill, there's no procedure, there's no surgery.
Right.
It is just accessing your subconscious mind. So basically, it's theta state. Okay, there's the gamma, the deeper states, and then you go into the theta, where it's basically between sleep and awake. That's all it is. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
the moment when you just wake up and the moment when you're about to go to
Right.
sleep.
Right.
And those spaces are when you basically implement everything in your life and it stays there. 95% of our day-to-day stuff is run by our subconscious mind. 95%.
Yeah.
So since we're children from the age of birth to about
Mm.
6, 7 years old,
Yeah.
we're in theta state. We
Right.
record everything and all that goes into our brain. We
Mm-hmm.
grow up to be adults and we go, oh, I have problems in relationships. I
Mm.
have, parent, issues stemming from so and so, but we don't know that. We
Right.
grow up as adults. We have all these issues from our just life.
Right.
And so by healing those beliefs that are not serving us from our parents, from school, from our environments, you name
Mm.
it, they're not serving us,
Right.
and this is what I do. Basically, I help souls, find their purpose, heal their wounds,
Yeah.
switch over beliefs that actually are serving them and getting them to the
Yeah.
life that they actually do want to create, not
Mm-hmm.
by their parents, not by society, not by school. Um, so it's super important. And it's, like I said, it's going to be the biggest thing, I was like, since sliced bread, since
Yes.
meditation.
It
you know?
is. It really is. I've had a few sessions myself, and it is transformational, I have to say. And I do love that space in between when you're awake and asleep. it's I would say to the listener, when you decide to do a hypnotherapy session, surrender is a big thing. Just surrender into it. And then when you're in that medium, the happy middle space, it's so interesting how you're here, you're conscious, but the subconscious, as you're working it, right, you're doing the magic, allowing it to come forward. And a lot of people think that you don't remember, you're there. It's not, it's a moment in time that's you're present for, that doesn't go away, and it's there to help you transform. um how did you get into hypnotherapy? How did that start for you?
So, serendipity, right?
Mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm.
lucky accidents, right? So, I came across this woman called Alba Weinman on YouTube.
Yes.
Right? We talked about that, and I was like, "Wow, this is so cool." I was like, "Is this real? Is this hoax?" Like, I don't like hypnosis. The only thing I knew about hypnosis is the magic shows, right? Like
Right.
cluck like a chicken, all this, all this other stuff. And I was like,
Yes.
hmm. So
Mm-hmm.
she was actually having sessions where she was traveling around the world. I think it was very few. I think it was just a handful of sessions
Mm-hmm.
all over the world, and one
Mm-hmm.
of them being my town that I lived in, Copenhagen, Denmark at the time. I was like,
Wow.
this got to be a sign. So it was a small little facility. Actually, it was only maybe about 50 people,
Yeah.
and it was 100% a sign. So I showed up. At the time, I was with my ex-partner. I was blown away. Even though it was a group hypnosis session, I got so much out of it because, I'm a natural channeler as being a
Right.
medium.
Right.
So I went into past lives. I got messages. I got
Mm-hmm.
clarity on this life. I came out of that going, holy cow, I have got to do this for my life.
Oh,
I'm meant to
yeah.
do this.
Yeah.
I'm meant to do this. So I got certified in Paris. After that, about a few months later, me and my ex-partner, we went to Paris because that's where they're having the course. Her and this individual decided to do it there. So we were living
Oh,
in Denmark. We
okay.
just drove over
Yeah. Yeah.
and became certified.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just had to take a little pause because I became a mother. I had
Mm-hmm.
a small child. So, and then I continued it about, 2020 was the year I got certified, and then I continued it just about a year and a half ago.
Wow.
So I absolutely love it. I mean, words can't describe how impactful it is. I mean, literally taking your wounds and converting them into actually something that makes sense. I know it sounds like
Right.
a strange thing to
Right.
say, make sense, meaning get clarity for it, get
Mm-hmm.
healing and understanding.
Yeah. Energy transformation.
Yes. The thing is, it's like any event in our lives, I just want to say this really quick, just want, is anything that's negative, it's not actually negative. It's our perspective. They're actual gifts underneath every experience, but it's how we perceive them. And trust me,
Right.
I've been there. I could tell you before,
Mm-hmm.
I had a stomach bug, right, with my daughter, and I could
Right.
tell you like projectile vomiting everywhere. Not fun, not good. I
Yeah,
would say it's
right.
horrible. But then I go, okay, well, I learned so many things about myself, patience, that I'm a
Mm-hmm.
really great mother, all these
Mm-hmm.
things. So you convert that going, okay, how can I take this situation that is not great
Right.
and maybe help others,
Right.
learn about myself,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Beautiful. Yes, exactly, exactly. I've always been curious. You, as the facilitator of hypnotherapy, how was that experience for you versus you're not the one, having the hypnosis going on. Now it's the other way. Now you're the one facilitating. How is that for you? I would love to know how that is on the other side of the table.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting, right? So, because I'm a medium and I'm a
Mm.
highly sensitive empath, I actually feel their experience. And let me explain when I say this because it's
Oh,
very odd. So, when
interesting.
they're in that experience, I actually feel also, it's not just their words and emotions, I actually feel it on my body. And I literally evidence through this experience because when I'm having a session with a client, I've noticed this myself. And if they have like ailments on their body from that experience, I actually feel it on my body. So what happens is after each of the events that we go to, I then scan their body to remove the stagnant, heavy energies. And I literally tell them, like I ask them, I don't tell them I ask them, but then I mention that I actually feel other areas and to them to confirm or, not. And it's true. And every single time I had details, I mean, of a finger, like of a
Wow.
left hand, finger, pinky, this guy goes, "Oh my God, you're so right. I've been having trouble with my pinky and this and that." I'm like, or like the spine. I said, "Oh,
Right.
it's the spine, but it's like the vertebrae all the way to the neck, all the way to the top." I
Wow.
felt it. And they were amazed. And I'm amazed myself. So it's like, I know it's unique, but it's like the best thing is when I'm done with the session and that stagnant energy actually is releasing itself, I actually feel it on my body. It's wild. I would love to do experiments with scientists, and I've been actually emailing them, collaborating, wanting
Good.
to do collaborations when I'm doing a session. Like literally put like,
Hmm.
probes or whatever, like, these little things
Right.
on me, like what's happening to my body. I want to do experiments. I want to
Yes.
understand what scientifically is happening to me that I pick up on this stuff.
That is potent. I
That is,
love
yeah.
that. It's powerful. I don't think I've had a hypnotherapist be in that space, to be honest, that I've interviewed on the podcast, um, that have that ability that you do. I don't sense that at all. And that's truly, I can totally understand that because even, when I do Uber part-time. I'm driving people around and I start to feel like whatever's going on, just driving them. I'm not even doing a session. So I cannot even imagine what it is for you when you're actually intentfully in the energy, working together in tandem and just, wow, that
Yeah.
is something different. It makes sense as a medium psychic to be. Yeah, that is astronomical. And that's talk about quantum healing, right? That's quantum healing because you're in the
Yes.
quantum with them,
Mhm.
entangled at that
Yeah,
moment.
yeah, we're all
Wow.
connected. This is the thing. The thing is, and like it's not talked about. Like, so when everybody's unique, but when you're having these things that are not talked about, that are not known,
Yeah,
you're like, is it me? Is my body going through? And I've
right.
had this over and over and over, basically, to, like scientifically kind of like
Yeah.
wrapping my head around it, not just abstract, but actually scientifically. Even when, because I'm a medium all my
Mm.
life, I've sensed them, felt them. The way that they come in is they touch me. I could smell them, I could hear them, but the most
Mhm.
common thing is actually there's somebody touching me right now. It's for you. I'll tell you later. um, but they're touching my leg very gently, but they're
Right.
really like wanting to get a message across. So when I'm with a client, the reason why I on my website says, hypnotherapist and mediumship is because every single session I've had with a client, somebody or a pet always comes in.
Oh,
So I had to disclose. I was saying, hey, if you're open to a mediumship session, before we start in the
right.
hypnosis, if you're open to and you want either to get a message, you tell me from whom, or if you're just open to hearing whoever comes in,
Right.
I do that because they literally tap me and I have
Right.
to give the message, even on
Right.
podcasts. Like,
Right.
not all of them, because not all of them have like a crazy message to give. Like, crazy, when I say crazy, I mean, isn't important.
Right.
But
It's an mhm.
if that individual needs to hear something,
Right.
either to a friend, I've had that
Hmm.
plenty of times where it's like the message wasn't to them, it was actually to a friend, whomever they knew,
Right.
family,
Right.
coworker.
Right.
Um, so it's interesting, but it's my world, so I can't say it's weird because it's just my world,
It is. It is.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally get it. I think I was telling Joanna my quick story where I went on a date with a guy and I brought his ancestors with me into my house. And it was my first time ever that ever happened to me. And so I was home and I was just like, there's like at least four or five of them. And I'm like, first, who are you, right? And it's just like, oh, but I'm not with this person. Like, but we have a message. I'm like, yeah, but there's no second date. And so you're gonna have to figure out how to deliver this message. I'm so sorry. Also, you're not welcome in my house. Don't follow me at home. Like, I have boundaries. Because of that experience, I have boundaries now in my house, so no one follows me past that door.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Because it's a great story, and I
Love
wasn't
it.
upset. I was just like, um, all of you are here.
Yeah,
You should have tapped me when I was with him. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I could have said something, but now it's late. But it is that, right? I love that for you, how you already know that that's how they communicate, right? The touch. And for the listener, if you're starting your psychic medium journey, it just I don't know if you've taken some psychedelic, how you open your, the third eye, the star chakra. Um, that for you, you create boundaries with spirit and your ancestors and your spiritual team, because it can be overwhelming, right? As a beginner, right? To see, to hear, because it's all the five senses heightened, right? People don't realize it's just the same five, but just super five. So it's
Yes,
just
yes.
you create the boundaries how you want to be communicated to, because it will just come in at you, right? And just like come to your house, you know, and just you have to have the boundaries little by little as you start that beautiful journey. And also, reach out to Joanna. I'm psychic medium, but my medium, I think I was telling Joanna, I don't fully activate it because it's not my forte. My forte is mindfulness. That's where I'm pronounced and why my mission, right? My gem, my gift. And I've talked to my past loved ones. That's as far as I've gone if I decide. But that's my boundary, right? That's what I've chosen. Like I like that I can speak to my past loved ones, but when you want to talk to me, this is how I want to be communicated to. And anyone else outside of that, unless it's dire, then fine, but I'm not really here for that, right? So that's my boundary, right? So for like if I wanted a mediumship, I would ask Joanna, be like, hey, help me because I think that it's important to know as a healer with your gifts, because we all have multiple gifts, right? Let me know what your thoughts are on this. I think it's good to know your strengths and be great at them and know where your boundaries lie. Or not that I'm not great at it, I could make it better, but that's not my focus right now in life, is not my mediumship. So instead, I don't mind asking my fellow healer sisters and brothers, because it also helps me bond with everyone else and it humbles me too, right? I'm not the all. I'm not, so it's nice that I can be like, hey, Joanna, I need help with so and so, right? It's so important to have. Was that something for you? Did you have to create any boundaries as you were going through your experience? Because I know you said you've always were tapped into the medium, so that's a lot. I know that
It
can
is.
be.
Yeah,
How was that journey for
absolutely.
you? As yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was a child,
Mm,
it was a lot. It was almost borderline too much, basically,
mm,
because, back in the 90s when I grew up, I'm in my 30s, mid 30s, and no, we didn't have like YouTube or all these things we could just like Google it or ask, So when all these strange things happened to me, my family was very conservative, very
mm,
religious, so they kind of denied and put it under the rug, going, no, 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 we don't talk about this. So I didn't know what to do with it.
right.
So I ended up going to the doctor, it's a big secret, like that I
Mm,
needed, help for my anxiety. It was
right.
anxiety. Like, eventually, in my early 20s, I came across people, I was kind of guided basically
Right.
of information and people and what to do with it. And I mean, they talked to me, the guides, so I never was scared.
Mm-hmm.
It's because the thing is, when it's certain energies and they're good and they're high vibe, you feel it in your body. It's
Yeah.
easy.
It's
When they're
easy.
not the high vibe, that's when you literally, like at night, you feel the fear.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that they're there to harm you. It's because
Mm-hmm.
there's all different energies around us. Like there's actually more energies than are humans because they're all like different, living in different
Mm-hmm.
timelines, different dimensions, popping in and
Mm-hmm.
out,
Mm-hmm.
and they're
Mm-hmm.
just quote unquote invisible. But the thing is, we're all psychic mediums. Every single one of
Mm-hmm.
us, no
Mm-hmm.
exception. Even if you say, no,
Yes.
no, no, I'm not, you are.
Mhm.
But if you choose in your lifetime to evolve it, you absolutely will.
Yeah.
To what degree depends on your soul. And if you
Yes.
choose, there's no blame. If you choose not to, it's not like, oh, you don't choose to do that, then, oh, you're left behind. No, your soul knows what it's connecting to and what it
Mhm.
wants to evolve and
Right.
do and process. There's no judgment, there's
Right.
beauty in it. And my soul was pushing me to connect to more of this. And when it comes to boundaries, it's like, for me, the whole touching thing and stuff, it's like in the beginning, it was very odd. I thought I had twitches. Like I was like, no, this is just twitches. I was like, but it's not. It literally feels like a finger touching you. Literally, like,
Right.
do you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
once a twitch is a twitch. So I allow that, but I
Oh.
do give intention. I
Mhm.
give intention of going, if I feel that it's an energy that is not positive, and I feel it, you feel it in your bones, you feel it in your body. I ask them just to leave straight away. Like, you're not welcome here, you must
Mm.
leave. You have to
Mhm.
demand it. not being all
Mm-hmm.
nice. I go, please leave. No, like
Demand
there's
it.
the door, there's the window. You don't even
Mm-hmm.
need that. You just,
Mm-hmm.
you're made out of, energy and
Correct.
light.
Yes. Yes.
So yes, yes, it was. You definitely have to set the intention,
You
like
do.
we did the meditation today.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give you a quick example story, interesting story. I have so many, but I'll give this one that stands out. So there was a soul that was actually in a coma. What
Mm-hmm.
happened is I felt this presence in our home with my ex at the time. And I got chills all over, all over my spine, and I saw it. And my ex is not as intuitive as me, but his hair was sticking up. And I said, "There's somebody here." And I said to him, "It's for you, but I don't understand who it is. I don't know this individual." About a few minutes later, he got a text message from his father saying that I can't tell you what happened, but I need you to come over because I can't tell you over the phone. And he lives across the street basically. So he came
Okay.
over and he said that a coworker's in a coma and that he is not dead, he's in between. And he came to me. He was confused. The soul was confused. And I told him before he actually went, I told my ex, hey,
Yeah.
hey, there's a soul here. I don't feel he's dead, but I'm confused. Like he's
Oh.
confused. I'm confused. He's asking me for help. He's asking me for help. Like, what am I like? But he actually wanted me to call his wife. I'm like,
What?
listen,
Right.
boundaries.
Right.
Like,
Boundaries.
listen, like
Boundaries.
she's gonna think I'm crazy and this and that. It's like I have to give the message a little more gently. Point being is he came back a few times asking me to make phone calls and different things. I said, listen, this is crossing the boundaries. I can't do that. I will give the message and relay it back to them. And eventually, maybe he got the message that I wasn't going to give the message. So
Mm.
he was out of a coma, and he had a very interesting experience after getting out of it because when you go into a coma, you're conscious.
Right.
So when you get out and you come back to this reality, it's just a different dimension. He remembered everything,
Wow.
right? So, and he didn't know how to process it. So the only person he knew how to talk to, is clearly, that situation because his family is very religious. So you don't talk about that kind of strange
Mm-hmm.
out there stuff. And this is the interesting stuff about the near-death experiences that we go out of our bodies and
Right.
kind of hover over and travel to different places. And then we come back going, what was that? So I had to
Mm-hmm.
share that story with you really quickly
Yeah.
of, interdimensional travel and our own
Correct.
abilities. Everybody could do
Mm-hmm.
this. Yeah.
Anybody can do this. Yes, truly. I love that you explained that. If you're here to evolve those gifts, and that's what you're here to do. No shame. No one's saying that everybody has to. But we do all have, if we have five senses, then you have the super five senses, right? It's just you developing them or remembering, right? If you had developed them in a past life, perhaps, and it's already, maybe one of them already heightened, you already developed, let's say, clairvoyancy. You just have to tap into the remembrance of that if you decide to. There was a question about that story, and he went into a coma, and he remembered visiting you.
Yeah. 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 Because that's the thing. It's so interesting to me because I learned too all these things because it's not talked about all of. So it's
Right.
like as I'm actually like being a medium and all these new aspects come in, and I mean
Yeah.
even time travel and all these really bizarre
Right.
stuff. I was like, wow. Okay, so when you're in a coma and you go through you actually remember not all of it but just the main things, and that's why near death experiences, they actually remember that stuff and they don't know who to reach out to.
Yeah.
Other than nowadays it's super popular, talking about near
Right.
death experience. I
Right.
died almost 6 times, but I never went into that space of floating above myself. I wasn't
Yeah.
allowed. They didn't let me. They're like, she's never going to come back.
Mm-hmm. I mean, don't open the door because I will walk through.
Yeah.
It's funny, right? How, because our team, our spiritual team, they know us because we gave them instruction, and they also been watching us since we were babies, so they know us so well, and they know the instructions, and they know what to do, and they're like, "Oh no, we can't open that door. She won't come back." So it's one of those things, right? Um, so for you, in the hypnotherapy sessions, oh my God, so remarkable. Yes, we both love Alba Weinman. For everyone out there, Google her, watch her sessions. They're astounding. 'Cause that's how I got into it, and that's how I started searching for hypnotherapists to be on my podcast. Because what is this? and having some sessions as well, and going to past lifetimes, and not even just human past lifetimes, just like you said, other dimensional past lifetimes. Um, remarkable spaces, right? And I love how you said about there's so many energies, right? There's more energies than there are people. And I think that's such a strong and powerful statement that needs reflecting, so that people are aware of more than just what's here now, what you're able to see, right? How do you, I guess the word would be coaching people that are, have you ever come across someone who's starting to feel their super senses come online, and they come to you asking like, what does this mean? What do I do? Have you had situations in
Yeah,
that space? Yeah.
yes, I can give you just like a few,
Mm,
maybe, at least two or three. So one of the things I offer is very unique, but it's just the way that I work. It's unheard of in a sense until me, where because I'm a medium, I offer my clients to actually meet their past, departed relatives and or pets in the session if they choose to.
mm-hmm.
So to them, it kind of feels like a dream, but it feels so real when they're in the session because not everybody could actually access. It's not that you can access, you can, but there's fear and other things involved. But when you're
Yes.
open and surrender, as you mentioned, they could actually walk into a space that we create, a safe space,
Mm-hmm.
that they could actually ask anything they want about
Right.
their, anybody.
Right.
And I've had a client where she had accessed this part, and met her. Well, because the pet, it was pets, and they jumped on my lap before she even asked me. I'm like, oh, did you want to connect with the pet? And she's like, yeah, 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 that's exactly what I wanted. And I was like, he's right here. So if you choose, you could see him
Yeah.
in the session. So she did. And then she realized, she mentioned to me after the session that she actually wanted to evolve her, but in more in the pet, actually, pet
Mm-hmm.
medium,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yes.
more in that realm,
Yes.
that
Right.
kind of something that she wanted to do. So that was like a first taste that she had of what it could really evolve into. And then another client, wanted to know their life purpose. Kind of like, I'm,
Mm.
very sensitive. I understand, the spiritual world in different ways that I can't really relate to people. So first we dived into what their soul actually wanted in this
Right.
lifetime. And it also mentioned that, yes, that's part of their journey where they actually are here to evolve their, psychic abilities way more. And I kind of maneuver them where to go, what to do. And,
Right.
and it's, I follow up with them usually like, because within a week is not enough. You need a few months,
Mm-hmm.
you need a year. I was messaging a bunch of my clients that I had for like a year and a half ago. How's it going? How's this?
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a special offer. So they're like, absolutely, I want a session with you. This, improved, this happened, I evolved, I lost weight or whatever the case is, and they want something else.
Right.
But to evolve their psychic abilities, to find their purpose, to lose weight, you name
Mm.
it, to tap into other lives. I mean, it's endless. The amount that you could do with hypnotherapy, healing, accessing everything you could imagine. It is the one for all healing modality. It really is. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
Question for you. How is that a different, or is it the same as accessing your Akashic records?
So when it comes to, so it's just a part of it. So
Mm-hmm.
Akashic Records, I don't want to say it's limited, but that's just it. Meaning
Right.
accessing your soul's knowledge, as I call it. That's
Right.
what I would like to, your soul's knowledge
Mm-hmm.
of your past, present, and future, because it's really all in one time.
Right.
People like to say, oh, it doesn't exist. Well, in a sense, it does and it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't, right?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning we need time because it's the last to learn our lessons, to evolve, to understand. But it's
Mm-hmm.
all happening at the same time. So when you access your Akashic records,
Mm-hmm.
your future's there too, by the way, P.S.
Mm-hmm.
It really
Yes.
is.
Yes.
Um, and your past to learn from, to evolve. But the subconscious mind, it has access to your current life
Mm-hmm.
and other lives, but in a deeper meaning and lessons where this is where it gets really amazing. I love to do this in the sessions where you get to understand other people's perspective because we're all connected. So in
Mm.
my sessions, when I do that, I do different techniques, and one of the techniques I love is where I do role play, and role play meaning when I want where I think it's best in that situation where
Mhm.
the other person sees from the perspective and the eyes of that individual.
Mhm.
So I do 3, 2, 1, and they're that individual. How do they feel? What did they see? What are they going through? And when they get out of that scenario, which is usually heavy, then that individual that I'm doing the session for, they go, oh, it wasn't right for what they did or said or whatever happened, but
Right.
I get it much better.
Right.
So there's the difference in understanding each other in a much deeper level in hypnotherapy rather than Akashic records, where it's just the lessons and
Wow.
understanding from
That's
it.
that. If wow, if everyone could be in someone else's shoe for one moment, right?
Yeah.
And even for us, it, without hypnotherapy, that's compassion and empathy. It's also you have to cultivate that space. And it's a practice to be more into your heart so that way you can understand a person's reasons for their actions. And you don't have to do the hypnotherapy, but you know, I think it's just as important. It's as deep, the 95% of the subconscious versus like the 95% of the heart that you're not using or tapping into, right? And that's because most, a society is mind led, not heart led. So it's harder for people to even acknowledge like, oh, that's why they did that, right? So I love that the hypnotherapy allows you to do that and really sit with it, right? Because now I'm sure your clients have, after the session, they go home and they're just like, wow, give me some time because I never use my empathy to understand the other person's side of what they're going through. Why did it react that way? Because XYZ, right? So that's powerful. Another thing I wanted to bring up for anyone, I thought this was cute. When you're like weight loss, I'm like, that's a big deal, right? Because there's a type of blockage why either we're overindulging or underindulging, right? Because there's a traumatic space in our relationship with food and why we're doing it or not doing it, right? So that's also important. I love that as well. You're definitely in your own Joanna space because I've never had anyone
I
talk about
know,
it this way
I
and
know.
really like have the understanding. Because it's kind of like how you said there's two, right? The standard and the spiritual. And now I'm seeing like one of the other ladies that were standard, and the other two were spiritual, but still not in the depth of you or in the unique space that you're in. There was another older lady. She also had her own space, very heart centered. Felt her. It's more this is what the podcast, I've interviewed so many people, but when our hearts speak, I will always remember you. I will never forget you. Right? It's just how, our hearts are speaking. So that woman and you have that unique space and how you hold people, your clients, right? I can sense how you hold them. And the safety part is so important, especially when we're going into traumatic spaces.
Yeah,
Um,
that's really important.
right? Have you ever had a client where you had trouble getting into a space that was traumatic? And how did you deal with that?
Yeah, there's so many things, all different scenarios and people you deal with, you just maneuver through. So, of course, like, so one of the clients that I had, and a repeating client, and I love her, she's wonderful. So, when we were getting into the session, first she was kind of like doubting, am I gonna even get deep, or
Mhm,
not? Am I
mhm,
even,
mhm,
because there's a thing called "Are you hypnotizable?" And it's actually a
mhm,
quiz that I'm gonna post up onto my website,
mhm,
a bunch of these fun quizzes. And it actually, you take this quiz and it actually determines, are you open to the hypnosis? Is there any blockages that are, that you're holding you back? So during the session, she actually did go in um, moderately, like, in the middle, deep. And then just out of nowhere, 3, 2, 1, she was deep in the session. But in the session, there's, an event in her life that she went into, and I always maneuver through each individuals and asking them through the whole session how they feel. Do you want to continue? Let's continue. You know what I mean? So she got into the session, and it became a little too much for her. Even though I detached emotions, I have all these techniques that I do. If it's too much
mhm,
for somebody, 3, 2, 1, no emotions.
mhm,
You're the observer. You're just observer watching this event. This is. That's it.
Mhm.
Usually that helps, but in this situation, it was too much for her. So we removed her from the session. So when you say safe, super important for me. And I don't know how other people, it's not that I don't know how other people, I do know how other people work. And that's why I
Mhm.
create a very safe space and I tell the clients and in podcasts, we will go to events that your soul wants to go, that you're asking to go. But if there's
Mhm.
any a scenario where it's too much for you, we're gonna go 3, 2, 1. We're just gonna go elsewhere. No problem. We're
Right.
gonna move to another event. There's no need to go and be doubly into the
Mhm.
event where your soul is not ready. There's times in our lives where our soul is not ready to process that and actually heal from it. They're just not ready. So
Right.
other hypnotherapists might dive into it and kind of push it
Mhm.
just to get to it. I don't do that. For
Mhm.
me, number one is it's a gentle, safe
Right.
space. And we put a protection energy around that individual, whatever they
Mhm.
choose, if it's a light, if it's a shape, if it's a color, and they're in that safe bubble. And with me, knowing that I'm going to guide them in the most, I want this session for my clients to be enjoyable, to
Mhm.
feel like a cozy little nest, a little safe space where like they
Yeah.
can go to their impactful wounded events and go, you know what? It was okay. I went there
Mhm.
and I actually feel better. Not
Yeah.
worse, I actually feel better. So when they get in my sessions, every single client always says something positive about it, or super positive, or just saying, "Wow, it was great," or "amazing," or all this stuff. Because I know, because I'm so intuitive, I'm so highly intuitive. I feel that person. I would never want anybody, including myself, to go through anything too heavy, And so, there's not many individuals where I maneuver them through that are not able to kind of go through
Mhm.
the event, but there's no judgment.
Right.
And
No
I just say,
judgment.
it's okay. I said, like a
Right.
mom, like it's okay. Like a mom with
Right.
my daughter, it's
Right.
okay, honey. Let's
Yeah.
just go pick another event. It's okay. We'll come back to it at a different time when you're
Right.
ready. That's
Mhm.
it.
Mhm. And you have this soothing voice. I mean, who wouldn't feel safe? I'm even listening to you. I'm like, uh-huh, where are we going? We're like, no, we're in this podcast, Claudia. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. No, yeah, I mean, I could, you have obviously the self-awareness and the compassion and the empathy to be considerate, right, to others and the emotional space. And also because you're so entangled at the time, right, the quantum entanglement there, that also it helps you soothe yourself, right, as you're both in the session. That's really beautiful. I love living in LA.
I
Yeah.
used to live in LA years ago.
Oh,
Yes, I remember.
so I always make it like they're part of the show. What am I gonna do? I live in a big city. I surrendered that
Right.
like my first year. I was like, you know what? They're gonna be in the show. What am I gonna do?
They're asking to be in the show, huh?
Hey. But it is a thing. But very beautiful. And it is magical. I think that this podcast is going to bring a lot of awareness on the work you do, and also not only the work you do, but your energy has that. It's captivating in a way that you do have this motherly space in you. Like it's just the first thing. Because even when we were speaking, I felt like, we were sisters and like we have a family, like we could be there forever and like we've been sisters for 20 years and our parents are like, you still talking? I'm like, yeah, there's so much to talk about. It really felt like that. And so you do have this beautiful, um, like it's like we're being carried. Because like I was telling you, I'm like, oh no, I'm in a podcast right now. I need to like, because it feels so like nurturing. That's the word. So I can see, and I feel like that also is why you're able to go in deeper, and why the client's like, yeah, no, let's do it, because they also, even though they might not have uh the awareness of the intuition, but they can already sense it, right? Their soul is so welcoming to you, like, yeah, we're good here. Let's continue. So I love that. That's so beautiful. Yeah, I really am enjoying. It's a different space, right? Because we're in a format, and here we are again. Versus like us just not being recorded. But I'm, tapping into the hypnotherapist medium professional, right? Here we are. And this, it's just so remarkable. I have to say, just as also an intuitive, like, wow, yeah, that's why I'm like, I'm here in this podcast, but I'm like, I need to be energetic because you're so nurturing that I'm just like, oh, okay, and then
That's what happens in the
uh-huh.
sessions,
Right,
exactly. They
right,
kind of go into it, and then when they come out, like it really is so impactful. They have no
mhm,
idea. This is the most beautiful part. It's like when they start the session, there's, doubt. Am I going to go in? Am I not? Is it going to
right,
work? Like anybody else. And
right,
when they get every single person, every single client, when they get out of the session, they're so blown away. They literally either can't speak to me
yeah,
because they're just so blown away. And even if I ask them, how was it? They're like, oh my God. Like, they don't
mm,
even know how to process. It's amazing. It's beautiful. And it's funny because, I kind of tied this into astrology too.
right,
My astrological chart, so I have Cancer in Vertex. That's my destiny. And like
mm,
Cancers are super nurturing. They're like the mothers of the zodiac.
yes,
I
yes.
actually didn't know that until this year that I have a
Oh,
Cancer
yeah,
in
mother
Vertex. I had
father
no,
energy.
yeah,
Mother father energy, yeah.
exactly. And I'm like, well, they're meant to be therapists. I'm meant to like
Yes.
literally just hold people and just like let me be your
Mm-hmm.
therapist.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
My rising is Cancer, so I love that because my Aquarian self, which is the sun, the Aquarians are very detached, and I love that my Cancerian doesn't let me be that. I'm like, I'll cry right now, Aquarians are like, I can't be bothered with feelings, but I love my Cancer side. Truly, it's good to have that energy. Like it really, I feel like it if you have Cancer in your chart and I guess an important aspect, like, what is that word? I'm learning astrology as well. So, like, there's
Aspect.
aspect. Yeah. If you have an important Cancerian aspect in your chart, I would totally tap in because it helps you also cultivate compassion and empathy even deeper than most people. So that'll be helpful for anyone who is also pursuing, hypnotherapy, psychic mediumship, quantum healing. If you have Cancer, check it out. Very important. So doing your sessions and doing this beautiful work, how does this help people come into their most abundant self, right? How do they are able to like right their restrictions and be able to step in more into their light? How does that help them?
Well, the first thing that I like to share is like everybody goes through challenges. There's no exception. You
Mm-hmm.
came into this life to go through the good, the bad, in between. I mean, the holiest of the holiest have, challenges. People think like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's just me, I'm all alone. No. So when you signed up to this earthly life contract, you have to go through challenges. And unfortunately, some of them stick to us.
Right.
From parenting to childhood to society to what you name it, A through Z, right?
Yeah.
Now, those things, stagnant energy, those blockages, let's just call them, right? As you go through life, they're stuck on you until you realize that those are not serving you. And it's so hard to just stand back going, oh, this is not serving me. This is serving me. We actually don't know. I didn't
Right.
know. Even in my 20s, I was, becoming a hypnotherapist. I was like, wow. So this and this, like I knew, but half of them I had no clue.
Right.
So when you have hypnosis and let's say you have, let's say about abundance, about finding your path or, to whatever it is, relation, abundance doesn't just mean money. Abundance is abundance of
Mm-hmm.
the soul, meaning
Mm-hmm.
abundance in relationships, abundance
Mm-hmm.
in money, because everything is connected. When you don't feel abundant, meaning when you don't feel rich in your soul, then that's where the blockages are. So when you start feeling rich in yourself, that's not money, then you remove the blockages and you actually bring everything you want, including money, relationships, and
Mm-hmm.
everything. So when I go to the sessions with people, the first thing I do is there's other hypnotherapists who will give you affirmations, throw you
Right.
affirmations, and tell you how to be and what to do. I do it differently. I created this, I don't want to say system, I created
Right.
my sessions very unique because I created them.
Mm-hmm.
I go to the core of the problem. That's where it all lies.
Right.
First things first, I go to the core of the issue at an event. And that event is blocking the individual from whatever it is. When we understand that event, get the clarity from it, then we can work on actually improving and changing the mindset, the
Mm-hmm.
beliefs. That's all it is.
Right.
So once we clear that away, get an understanding, they go, oh, get it. Okay, we got that clear. Then we scan the body, we remove the stagnant energies, and then we implement the affirmations and the energy and energetic beliefs into the body, into the actual DNA.
Right.
implement the words into the DNA. I actually say that in my
Mm-hmm.
sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could build from there, because you can't build on like a dirty energy in a sense
Right.
where you're still stagnant and stuck in that, event. It's not about deleting the event. It's not. You
Mm-hmm.
can't. That's not the point.
Mm-hmm.
It's about converting it. Going, hey, this happened for a reason, for me to build and grow and evolve into something better.
Right.
This negative aspect that I think is negative, it's
Mm-hmm.
actually going to become my blessing.
Yes.
So, yeah, there's so much to say.
Yeah, no, that's really important. And you know, uh, when I do these podcasts, I allow spirit to sometimes talk through me and let them ask questions. And I'll ask the question, I'll be like, and then when you answer, I'm like, oh, that's why. Because this was one of those questions. I felt the question was simple, but you expanded in such a beautiful way, and I appreciated that. Because the abundance is right, the richness of your soul, not the richness of your bank account. It's very important, because when you're in that abundant space inside of you, everything else is abundant. It's a given. It's not separate. Nothing is separate. Like your money is separate, your self-worth is separate when they're, hand in hand. There, it's so that's really beautiful to people understand, just the benefits, right? Of okay, yes, we're getting to explore and healing. What comes out of that is that you get to, right? I love how you were talking about you can't build on anything. What I was thinking about dishes, it's like cooking a whole new dish when all your dishes are dirty, your kitchen's dirty. How are you gonna start a new meal when you can't? So it's the same, like you have to, right, cleanse the muck, cleanse the heaviness of the trauma, the wounds. And I love that you help with the shifting of the perspective, right? Whether it be in someone else's shoe or just be the observer. That's another aspect that I love, how you're like, you can detach the emotions and just watch. And that's so important, because that also, I feel like people who are interested in this can create fear, like, oh, I don't want to relive those feelings again, especially for sexual abuse, right? People don't want to relive the feeling, but to watch it as the observer is a beautiful gift that you can give someone else, like your clients, to be like, oh, I can just watch and not re-feel those, because, you know, and I also like that you don't provide mantras, because I feel like I don't find them helpful, or like they work. Um, it's a quick, easy, it's like a band-aid almost, but it's not really getting into the nitty-gritty of what's going on underneath. Or the quick, like, flip it to happy, like you said, to flip it to happy, like you it's not, you can't fake it till you make it with your traumas. It doesn't work like that, right? You can't fake happiness until you're happy. That's just, so I feel like, a lot of these false light spiritual gurus that mislead people into selling happiness, when really a real spiritualist knows that you have to dive into the shadow aspect. And that's how, right? We have to descend to ascend. We can't just ascend and not, I mean, you can ascend without descend. That's called death. It's
Oh, oh, I've been there, right?
we could do that and just cut the middleman, but you won't be here though. So just, it's that. And oh my God, there was something I wanted to share with the audience that I told Joanna. You were saying actually earlier about the spirits, the fear, right? When you're in the dark and it's just these different energies that are tapped into your own fear. Yeah, that's why they show up. And I was telling Joanna, I'm like, yeah, that started to happen to me. But what I ended up doing, and maybe like this is like my modern spiritual space, it's not so much like talking to it. I'm like, listen, I have to go to sleep and I have rent due. Unless you're going to pay my rent, I don't have time for you. I honestly would, I was telling Joanna, I'm like, yeah, I started telling them that, because it was just so annoying, because my sleep is so precious. I have two jobs plus my spiritual business. I'm like, I don't have time for this. I told a few of them, and they were just, I love the first one. The first entity was so confused. Like, what? I'm like, yeah, you have rent money for me? Because It's Los Angeles and nothing is less than $2,000 for rent. Like, get out of here. You know, and you don't want me to go to work to make the money to like boundaries.
This, I love that antidote you gave about the building, and I forgot what you said. Remember the building about you being it's so funny. Oh my gosh, you being on the lower level and you ascending higher. I forgot what you said, and I thought it was so clever the way that you said that. And we were saying, oh, we're gonna do like Instagram posts or social media ones. Do you remember that one? I don't remember, but it was like if you're on like the lower levels and you're
Oh,
trying to.
my spiritual building. Yes. Because I have dreamt it as a building. So in I guess the way my brain conceives, right? Because when we're sleeping and dreaming or even traveling, astral traveling, we only know what we know concepts of Earth. So things could look different, and we just the brain wants to make it like what we know. So in my yes, thank you. In my mind, it perceives spirituality as a building. So if you're in the first level, which is like any building, you come into the lobby, you get a tour of the building. Maybe you want to be come into your spiritual journey, right? For the first time, here are some way showers. And then for people who have done the work, the healing work, the healers, and we keep ascending, right? So at this point, I'm on the 100th floor, right? And if you're asking me to go to the 20th floor or the lobby, I'm just like, I can't. Like, that's so down there. I already went to the first floor, the second floor. Like, I've already gone through the floors. I have a elevator pass, but the energy starts to shift the lower I go, and I'm like, I just can't go down there. I can't. So it's like kind of receiving the call, like, hey, so and so is in the lobby for you. I'm like, well, send them to the 100th floor. Oh, they don't have that pass. I'm like, well, I I guess maybe she'll give him a tour and then give him a cookie at the end because I don't think Spirit is letting me go down there, to be honest. Not even a choice at this point. It's just like Spirit's like, you know what happens if you go downstairs. I'm like, I do. And they're like, because what it feels like, I've done it. I've gone to other floors beneath the whatever floor I'm on. I'm using the 100th floor, right? And I've gone, but it like the way up is still just as hard, like to come out of that. So it's like I refuse. Like I don't wanna. It's kind of like I can take the elevator down, let's say to the 20th floor, but I have to take the stairs back up. It's what it feels like. I'm like, but I already did these 80 steps, and I gotta do them just because, Susan on the 20th floor needed help with something she's never gonna really heal, and she just wants to complain about it. She wants me to listen. And it's just that explanation for people to understand, like, as the healer, right? Not everybody is on the 100th floor. However, you have access to the healer, right? And in that energy of being on the floor alone already inspires your soul to be in that energy, right? So you kind of in essence by osmosis next to a healer, you're vibrating faster already just being in the space of that person. Kind of how they say like the healer doesn't heal you, just being in their presence is already your soul and your heart already osmosing from what's next to you. And if you're open enough, then your mind and your body can start to receive and surrender to what could possibly be your desk next to mine on the 100th floor. You
I love that one.
know?
So forget for laughing about that so much. Oh my God, my face. I think
We
after
were
I
dying
talk, oh
that
my God,
day.
my face was hurting and laughing so much. We're just coming up with such funny stuff.
It was because
It's
it's how
gold.
I perceive it, right? It's the same as the entity that wants to come bother me at 3 in the morning. That's not my spiritual team. That's not a being of light. And it's like it just came out because I was so annoyed. I was like, listen, I have rent to pay. And it was so organic. And I just to be that spirit, like, oh, I guess we don't bother her because she's mad now. She's mad. She's not even gonna listen to what I had to say about whatever I had to say. I don't even remember anymore because I had to leave. But I was telling Joanna, like, there is an old man spirit that lives here. He doesn't come to my house, but he lives in the building. He likes it here. There's enough low energy in Koreatown to just hang out here. There's enough violence going around for him to hang out. He likes it. He actually does not interested in going in the light. He likes it the way it is.
Right.
Yeah, so it's fun, you know. I like this. Thank you for bringing that up for people who are in coming into their super senses. You can make it fun. It doesn't always have to be scary or so serious,
So serious. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
right?
We're talking about that last time. It's like so many spiritual people, like clearly, you know, I like to laugh. It's like make jokes and because I just
Yeah,
can't be that serious all the time.
right.
And the spiritual community could be so like, oh, this and
So
I understand. It's
serious.
so serious.
So serious.
Laugh at yourself. You make
Seriously.
mistakes. Like
Yes.
laugh at yourself making mistakes. I make plenty of mistakes. There's
Yes.
silly things that I do. I snort. I don't know, like you know, when I
Yes.
laugh or
Yeah.
something. It's
A
like
100%.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
just enjoy the journey
Yes.
and be kind to yourself and just laugh
Yes.
at yourself, you know?
Exactly.
Especially when people say, "Oh, I made a mistake." I'm like, "Okay, so what?" You know? Like we're all
Yeah.
human. We all make mistakes. We just don't really maybe post it on social media all the time.
Right. Don't post your. Don't do that. Right, like frying a frozen turkey into a hot vat of oil. Like now we have evidence how silly you are. Like don't do that on Instagram.
They're gonna reloop that one over and over.
We're looping, we're remixing it, all the things. But thank you. But it is true because I've had moments once you start to be in that joyous energy of your gifts and your team, what I've noticed is that because you are more in your inner child, that they become silly too. I've had a lot of instances where like my balance is a little off and I feel them pushing me and I'm just like rude. And it's silly. Like I'm in the house and I'll just like I'm like, who was that? Who just thought that was so funny? And so even that I welcome, right? That's so awesome. Like it took me like the third time to realize that it was being pushed.
I've had that too. Especially when you have a cup of coffee in your hand and you just go, "Oh."
Oh, I'm like, no, guys, no. Yeah, and having fun, right? Having fun with your team, getting to know who's in your team and because it's so many energies, like you said. Like there's going to be a person, I would say a being in your team that is the serious one and keeps the group, and then there's the silly one, and then there's your grandmother, and then there's so much playing at the same time. Yeah, and the spiritual community needs to definitely loosen up. Like they're at a 90 tightness and they needed to be at a 30, right? It's just because sometimes I've interviewed people where they just can't even have fun while we're talking, and I'm just like, oh no, you need to like the boss is definitely laughing, you
Yeah,
know?
well, it's about the inner child. The thing is, you know what I realized? Like, all we are in the light of God, you know, when I say God, I mean source, energy, whatever you believe in.
Right?
We're just children of the light. Like, we all came
Yes,
from light. So you're
yes,
meant to be here to play
yes,
and enjoy
yes,
life. And I know that just day-to-day life, I know the seriousness. Trust me, I'm a mother. I have tons of
right,
responsibilities.
right.
Single mother, mind you, and, I got these responsibilities and taking care of my child but I make time to play and enjoy
Mm-hmm,
myself.
mm-hmm,
And times could get serious, especially when she's being naughty. I'm not gonna be
right,
like, ha ha ha, you're naughty. I gotta be
right,
serious face.
right,
But I get it. But the thing is, so many people get stuck in the seriousness of life, of the roles and the responsibilities. They
right,
forget to play. You
right.
know,
They do.
yeah, just even listen to music that you enjoy or just
Mm-hmm.
having a laugh. You know what I do when it gets so
Yeah,
serious and I have like a
yeah.
really bad day where like which is
Mm-hmm.
rare, but when things really go off like
Yeah, yeah.
was it this week? Yeah, because everything was just like
Oh
I don't
yes,
know,
you were
just
you
it
were
was
sick. Yeah,
just
yeah,
yeah, it was just
yeah.
weird. And I just turned on some comedy, like from
Mm,
social media, YouTube, just to get a
yes,
laugh, just to remind myself,
yes.
haha, like life is crazy. It's a roller coaster ride, and
Mm-hmm,
you
mm-hmm.
just gotta laugh at the craziness too
You do.
sometimes.
Absolutely. Agreed. Agreed. I used to have deep sadness years back, and I thought I tried something different. It's like, who's the funniest person I know? And that's my brother in New York. I was like, hey. And I said it, I prefaced it just like this. I'm like, hey, having a bad day. Can you give me a joke? something, and he didn't even question that. He actually just went in and just had me dying laughing, and I said, thank you, we'll talk later, and just that, right? Either we're watching a show or asking someone that we know that's super funny, just to bring up the vibration just a little bit more than where we are, to remind us of our inner child, right? We're always at play, because like you said, life is always reminding us of our responsibilities. Always, either it's the job, either it's our children, our anything, bills. Those are already serious things, and we don't need to add on, which will make the soul deep and depressed. It's just so depressed, just heavy, and like, oh, we could sit here and be sad all day, and just fall into that vortex of downward spiral, right? So, but do you have any advice for anyone who is wanting to try hypnotherapy for the first time, or even the mediumship? Because I know a lot of people are curious on both, as I feel like it's almost like a 50-50, more the medium, because it's because TV has made it so fabulous, right? Everyone, all these mediums on TV, which I now like to just put on 5 minutes and tap in and be like, how real are these people? And be like, ugh, okay, it's just Hollywood. Because I can feel immediately, right? Um, but what advice do you have for someone who's interested in hypnotherapy or the mediumship?
Sure. So if they're interested in the, hypnotherapy, number one is being open. If
Mm,
you're just on the fence about it, you could always watch the podcast that I did, not only me, just in general.
yeah.
And I just want to give the advice of figure out what kind of hypnotherapist do you want. Are you looking for a spiritual hypnotherapist,
Mhm,
something after our
mhm,
conversation,
mhm.
more in the energetics, and somebody who taps into mediumship side?
Right?
I offer the mediumship, but it doesn't have to happen in the session if they're not open to it.
Mhm,
Absolutely fine, which I've done.
mhm,
Or are you more wanting just a standard hypnotherapist where you do
mhm,
not go there? So you have to
mhm,
think kind of like, what am I looking for? And also
mhm.
the type of hypnotherapist, because,
Right.
with me, I'm just like a motherly kind of, guide. Basically, that is my mind healing guide. That's my company.
Mm,
And I'm a nurturer. So if you are wanting almost like a motherly spiritual nurturer to
yeah.
kind of comfort you and kind of go through your journey,
Mm,
if you're looking for more abundance, healing relationships, whatever
mm,
it is, A through Z, I help the person, guide them. I don't tell them what to do. They guide me in their session. So we get to the events. I just ask the questions and they find it for themselves. And in the end, they're the ones who are doing it, not me. I'm
yeah.
literally just the guide. I'm the
Mhm,
guide to your journey, holding your
mm,
hand as
mm.
you answer your own questions. Your soul does the work. I'm just your catalyst for the journey. And afterwards, you go, holy cow, you just helped me understand how to talk to myself, like in
Right,
a sense, to my
right.
soul.
Truly.
And when the one things I do want to mention is the myths. So I know there's a lot of fear behind hypnotherapy, and I know
Mhm,
one is like there's so many, but I'll just name a few. Usually, I have to mention this in a podcast. Is the fear of maybe disclosing information that they feel like they don't want to
mm,
say. That's one.
mm,
And I say, well, you will not say anything that you don't want to. And trust me when I say this, you just won't. Like, you won't even open your mouth or avoid it or not answer it because your soul will not allow you to do that. And I've
right.
had sessions where they actually do want to go to certain places or certain things. That's one. Divulging information, you won't. Another one is just the fear of going, like you mentioned, to places they don't want to. They think, oh my
Mhm,
God, I'm going to go through the trauma again.
mhm,
And the thing is, again, you do not go to a trauma that you don't want because either you're going to block that out and not actually see anything, literally, because your soul is way smarter than you could imagine.
mhm,
Like
mhm.
you will not either see the event, not go to it. You're just going to
Right,
naturally block it out. But when your soul is ready, you will go to the event because you're ready.
right.
Maybe mention one more thing is to before you have a session, just ask yourself, what is it that you want to understand, heal, attract?
Mm,
So usually I give the clients three questions that we go over the sessions
right.
before the session. It's like I send an email preparing for the session and, going over those goals that we have.
Mm, Right.
So at the end of the session, we can meet those goals. So, but if they have any questions, and there's so many like myths and different things we can go over, which we don't have enough
Right.
time today.
Right.
More than welcome just to shoot me an email.
Yes.
Even if you're not ready for a session, I'm happy to answer any questions you
Mm,
may have. No pressure
mm.
in having the session, but if I'm able to give clarity about
Yeah.
more hypnotherapy, I'd be more than happy to.
I love that. Thank you for offering because I know that people will be curious and have questions, right? A lot of apprehensions on, but I know it's like it's a double, it's like the apprehension is of the mind, but the soul is asking to reach out to Joanna. And you're like, okay, but the mind goes into its spiral questions of fear, which is normal and it's okay. No shame. It's here to protect you. It's fine. But I'm glad that you're offering that. People can contact you, and I'll make sure to have all of that on the podcast details with your information. And please reach out to her. Share this with anyone who might be interested or may resonate, that may need to hear it. I love this modality of healing, super important. Because, yes, we do have psychedelics and all the wonderful things, but if you're not in that space, this is it for you, I feel. Because also apprehensions of doing drugs per se, right? Like that's scary for some people, especially as simple as just smoking marijuana. They had one bad session and they don't even want to hear about mushrooms, you know? So it is the mind sometimes convoluted and connecting so many things that are, you know, psychedelic. So you group it all together without the understanding of what each one does, and also knowing that you need a facilitator when you're doing these things. And yes, I am talking about marijuana as well. You need even someone who is aware of what it is, why you're doing it, because everything needs to have an intent, right? You have to have an intent. Like for me, I am an avid marijuana user, but I bless my marijuana. I set my intention. Rude, rude. So rude.
A blooper.
I know. I set my intention, right? And I'm asking of her collaboration. I'm not taking from her, right? Which is what we're used to taking. We just take without blessing and give a thanks. And this is why I'm eating this piece of salmon. This is why I need a branch from a tree, or why I'm propagating this flower. Like I'm asking. So we need to shift that from just taking. And so, of course, if you're just taking and you have a bad trip of any kind, it's like there's no balance of energy of like I'm giving and receiving. It's just taking because I want whatever it is you're wanting without the respect of including, like if you are dealing with Joanna, like you're not just going to take from her, right? It's a balancing act, right? We're giving and taking, and now I'm sure you're healing through the aspect of healing someone else. It's the law of correspondence, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes, there we go. I
Mhm.
know seven of them, like where is it? But like that's for me is those are my boundaries, right? I don't follow rules because there are none, but they're laws. And if you don't follow them, you'll learn really hard, really fast.
Yeah, it's so true.
It's a thing, is you're like, oh, these are laws I can't break. But it's important for everyone to understand that any aspect that you go into receiving, know that you have to give. It's just the natural way of life. So I can't thank you enough, beautiful, for coming on and sharing your beautiful light and your nurturing spirit with all of us. Over the
Thank
moon.
you. Thank you for having me. I just love you so much. You're just so amazing, and I wish you all the very best on your podcast, which I know is going to do amazing because you're just meant
Mm.
to do this. It's just part of you, really. And thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I can't thank you enough. I mean, just your
Oh,
soul is it's so beautiful. Like we
so
connect
beautiful.
on so
We're
many
reflecting
levels.
back at each other. The love is reciprocated. It's the same. It's a mirror here, and I am, yes, so grateful. Thank you. And thank you to the listeners out there for collaborating with us by just even listening. You're here in the space with us and giving us your time and energy to listen to something new that you may be curious on, and hear someone else that could answer your questions if you had any regarding what we talked about today. And that would be it for today. Remember that the breath is a secret, and always lead with love. And until next time, we will see you then. Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.